I watch a lot of movies. I want to say I probably averaged going to the movie theaters anywhere between 4 and 10 times a month last year. So I'm there a lot. Yes, I do live there. I just love the experience of going to the movie theaters, watching a piece of media in a cinema setting around other film lovers. It's just the best way to consume a movie, in my opinion. So because of my excessive movie watching, I ended up watching 104 new releases in the year 2024. Now, did the Academy pick the same favorites of the year that I did? In some cases, yes. In other cases, no. Regardless, I don't give a fuck what the Academy decided on. I'm here to tell you what I decided on because I love having an opinion. So today I thought it would be fun to go through and tell you about every single new release that I saw in the year 2024, ranked from worst to best, while handing out some of my personal award winners for Best Actress, Best Director, Best Picture overall, yada yada, so on and so forth. So listen, some of your favorite movies of the year might be my least favorite movies of the year. And some of my favorite movies of the year could be the ones that you watched and were like, what the fuck is all this, pipes? And to that I say, taste is genetic. Blame your mother. Also, you might be wondering, girl, how do you have this much money to put towards movies? And to that I say, a movie theater subscription. And also, where I spend here, I save in other places because I'm earning points on my rent payments. What? What's all that about? Have you guys ever heard of Built Rewards? If you haven't, I'm about to change your life right now. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Built. And you don't even have to check with your landlord before you start earning points on hotel stays, flights, fitness classes, and future rent payments. So let me break it down for you. There's no cost to join Built, and when you pay your rent through Built, you'll earn valuable points on your rent and everyday spending. Your Built points can then be transferred to your favorite airlines and hotels, even the ones that you've never heard of, because there are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotel properties that you can redeem your Built points on. So if you're not earning points on rent, assumably the biggest expense you have, you're absolutely leaving money on the table. So, might I ask, what are you waiting for? You can start earning points through Built right now when you click the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen. Just make sure to use my URL so they know that I sent you. So now that we're all on the same page, let me walk you through the 104 new releases I watched in 2024 from the worst to the best. Coming in dead last, in 104th place, we have The Crow. This was the one new release that I gave a half-star review. This shit was cheeks. It was the dictionary definition of cheeks. The Crow follows the story of Eric and Shelley, two soulmates that are brutally murdered when the demons of her dark past catch up with them. Given the chance to save his true love by sacrificing himself, Eric sets out to seek merciless revenge on their killers, traversing the worlds of the living and the dead to put the wrong things right. If I give something a half-star review on Letterboxd, it means it had absolutely zero redeeming qualities. It really seemed like FKA Twigs and whatever the fuck his name is based their characters off of MGK and Megan Fox when they were in like their most diabolical. That's what these characters felt like they were based off of. It was total nonsense top to bottom. Hated them, hated their chemistry, hated the whole thing. There's really nothing to say because it was all bad. In 103rd, we have none other than Emilia Perez. I feel like I've talked this movie into the ground because I was actually so upset when Emilia Perez got nominated so many times.
Emilia Perez.
Ah! What do you mean? What do you mean, Emilia Perez?
Emilia Perez.
What do you fucking mean? Conclave Devour.
Emilia Perez.
No.
Played by Jacques Audiard, collaboration with Thomas Billiger, Leah Messieurs.
But it was really nice to see Emilia Perez only end up walking away with 2 Oscars, one for Best Supporting Actress and one for Best Original Song. Both of those were still deeply painful to me, right? Because Zoe Saldana wasn't the Best Supporting Actress. And not even one song on that soundtrack was deserving of a nomination for Best Original Song, let alone 2. Emilia Perez follows the story of Rita, who is a lawyer who is hired by the leader of the cartel to help her transition discreetly and away from the public eye. I have truly never in my life watched a musical where nobody wanted to sing less than this one. This shit was mumblecore the whole way through. I think Selena Gomez is a talented singer, but you'd really have no idea from watching this godforsaken movie. They got so much wrong. So much. It is actually insane to me how anyone could watch Emilia Perez with their own 2 human eyeballs and not laugh. Like, sorry, y'all got to the penis and vagina smash hit and thought to yourself, no, this shit is really good. Like, I need you to be honest with yourself. If you have that opinion, you shouldn't have any more opinions. I don't trust you. I don't trust a single damn person who liked this movie. Your taste palette is fucked. You need a cleanser. And you know what? I don't even want to say anything more because I've talked about this movie so goddamn much and I want nothing more than to just be free of it. Emilia Perez, you get 1 star. Coming in at 102, we've got Megalopolis. Megalopolis follows the story of genius artist Caesar Catalina as he seeks to leap the city of New Rome into a utopian, idealistic future while his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, remains committed to a regressive status quo. Torn between them is socialite Julia Cicero, the mayor's daughter, whose love for Caesar has divided her loyalties, forcing her to discover what she truly believes humanity deserves. You know, he was doing something. Do I personally know what he was doing? No. Francis Ford Coppola just wanted to have his crazy girl moment, okay? He just wanted to do something cuckoo crazy. And it wasn't for us, it was for him. And for that, I admire it. And also, I cannot give this movie more than a 1 star. I'm so sorry. Megalopolis truthers, I salute you. And also, I'm not one of you. That movie's a 1 star. Baby, I'm so sorry. That movie is a 1 star. I love you so much. And also, that's all I can give you, babe. At 101, we've got He Went That Way, which was a Jacob Elordi release that kind of went under the radar. Not under my radar, though. No, I did need to see this weird Jacob Elordi movie about a monkey who was in the trunk of a car. Jacob Elordi made a lot of very unexplainable acting choices in this movie. I mean, the whole movie is really quite something. Basically, Jacob Elordi is like a serial killer who is hitchhiking, and he picks up a ride from Zachary Quinto, who is a famous like TV show animal handler. And so he picks him up on the side of the road and they go on this little journey together. But Zachary Quinto has his famous monkey Spanky in the back seat. This movie is so stupid. I think it's based on a true story. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. When I say that Jacob Elordi's acting choices here were really unexplainable, I mean that in the scene where Jacob Elordi discovers that there is a monkey in the backseat of the car for the first time, or sorry, let me correct the record, a chimp, and he was wearing overalls. He wasn't just back there hanging out. It was a chimp wearing overalls in the backseat of the car. And when Jacob Elordi sees this chimp for the first time, he reacts so viscerally. It's almost as if he like opened up the back of the trunk and saw like an alien holding a severed head of a baby. Like, it is so aggressive for just seeing a chimp with overalls. I was losing my mind laughing. I was like, that poor chimp thinks you're bullying him. His overalls look good, god damn it. The writing and direction was just like, it was confusing. The whole time I was like, wait, what? What just happened? What is going on? I don't understand why Zachary Quinto or Jacob Elordi signed on to do this movie. It was really bad. It's why no one talked about it. It's on Hulu. You can watch it if you want to giggle a little bit, but you really don't have to. I gave it 1.5 stars. Now, we'd be here all day if I gave you a full review of every single movie. So I'm going to give you just the star ratings for some films, and I'll elaborate on the ones that I really have something juicy to say about. Our last 1.5 star rating, we've got Trap coming in at 100. At 99, kicking off our 2-star ratings, we have A Family Affair, followed by Lousy Carter at 98. In 97th place, we have Back to Black, which was the Amy Winehouse movie that came out earlier last year. And I was really excited for this one because I love Amy Winehouse. And coincidentally, that's also why I hate this movie. The thing about telling Amy's story is that we're too close in timeline to the source material for you to get it wrong. If you know a single goddamn thing about Amy Winehouse, you would think that the direction and writing here was really hollow and super off base. I don't even necessarily blame the lead actress because I think the script she was working with set her up with no shot at success. The movie was literally 2 hours long and it fell so flat, failed so aggressively at telling her story that they didn't even really connect the dots in the role Blake and her father played in her struggles, and somehow managed to paint them as victims and Amy as the villain in the process of that. It was really unbelievable. You can't make a movie about someone as beloved as Amy Winehouse this void of emotion. You just can't. Like, I should have been moved to tears. I've been moved to tears by Amy so many times in my life. It's actually ridiculous that this movie didn't move me to tears because it should have been easy to do. But perhaps things start to make a little bit more sense when you realize the director of this movie is Sam Taylor Johnson, who is also a groomer and is also the director of 50 Shades of Grey. Crazy work. In 96th place is Maxine, the third installment in T. West's X trilogy. I've been critical of all three of the movies in this trilogy. X, I didn't like. Pearl, I thought was better than X, but I still wasn't so stoked about it to the point where I was like, I need to tell you about this movie, Pearl. And Maxine was the worst of the three, easily. Here's the thing, Mia Goth is incredible. She cannot carry the whole movie on her back. It's simply not fair. And really, she carries the whole trilogy on her back. When I was watching Maxine, I felt like they really believed that all of this retro Hollywood nostalgia bait that they were doing was gonna distract people from how truly empty the script was. But it didn't. The characters completely lacked dimension. It was utterly predictable from start to finish. All of the classic slasher moments felt completely unearned, like they were just copy and pasted into the script. So I'm sorry to everyone who loves the X trilogy. It's not me though. So this got 2 stars. Continuing with the 2s, we've got September 5 coming in at 95th and The Front Room coming in at 94th. In 93rd, we have Late Night with the Devil, which I also gave 2 stars. A live broadcast of a late night talk show in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. I thought this was a really interesting concept, executed extremely poorly. The beginning sequence in the movie, it was like a documentary-esque intro that quite literally looked like it was made on iMovie. It just looked really tacky and unprofessional. And then learning later on that the filmmakers had used AI to cut some corners when it came to designing the Be Right Back frames of this live talk show, whatever. I thought the idea was interesting, but production clearly cut so many corners in trying to execute this vision that it sort of fell flat for me by the end. 92nd is Self-Reliance at 2.5 stars. Next up, also at 2.5 stars, is Am I Okay? And in 90th, we have Ricky Stenicki. This movie is stupid and also so much fun. When 3 childhood best friends pull a prank gone wrong, they invent the imaginary Ricky Stenicki to help them get out of trouble. 20 years later, the trio still uses the non-existent Ricky as a handy alibi for their immature behavior. But when their spouses and partners get suspicious and demand to finally meet the fabled Mr. Stenicki, the guilty trio decide to hire a washed-up actor and raunchy celebrity impersonator to bring him to life. I watched Ricky Stenicki while I was cleaning and folding my laundry, and it was honestly kind of the best movie to watch while doing other things. I really enjoyed my experience of watching Ricky Stenicki, even though it is an objectively bad movie. But I would low-key recommend it if you just want to have a fun little night. Just doing some chores, Ricky Stenicki on in the background. I gave Rick a good old 2.5 stars. In 89th, I have Civil War. 88th is Close to You. 87th is Abigail. 86th is Turtles All the Way Down. And 85th is I Used to Be Funny. All of these movies I ranked at 2.5 stars. I Used to Be Funny follows Sam, who is a young stand-up comedian and au pair struggling with PTSD. She's weighing whether or not to join the search for Brooke, a missing girl that she used to nanny. Rachel Sennett plays the lead here, and to be honest, She's kind of playing the same character you've always seen her play. I think I would just love to see Rachel Sennett play something a little different, because this character felt very similar to some other roles I've seen her in, just a little bit less interesting. And ultimately, because it felt so familiar, I would just recommend watching some of Rachel's other work instead. In 84th, we have Juror number 2, which got hit with a mean 2.5 stars for me. I'm sorry. I just wasn't a fan. And here's the thing. I felt like uniquely equipped to watch this movie when it came out, because it came out the same week that I had just finished serving on a jury. I was pulled for jury duty for the first time in October, and when I first got there, I was like, I'm gonna try to get out of this. I do not want to do this. And then you get pulled into like the jury selection room, and you're with all these other people, and they go around the room asking people if there's any reason they wouldn't be able to serve on the jury, whatever. Now, I was one of the last people they talked to, so I had to sit and listen to them talk to every other person before me. And to be honest, I started to get self-conscious because of how many people before me were using dumb-ass excuses and were absolutely lying. The case that I was on was like a landlord and tenant rights situation, and there was one person that was like, I would be unfit to serve on this jury because I have dreams of being a landlord. I was like, you motherfucker. And then obviously the excuse that I was going to use was just to be like, you don't want me on your jury, I fucking hate landlords. But then like 3 other people said that. And then I was like, well, now I feel really bad also saying that. I mean, it's true objectively, but like they don't need me to not hate landlords. They just need me to be objective in my assessment of things. Anyways, I ended up on this fucking jury because I couldn't muster up the courage to lie. Jury duty wasn't actually as bad as I expected it to be. I thought the whole process was kind of interesting. I'm glad that I actually did it and got to like see it through. All right, I did it. We can check that thing off now, at least for the next 7 years or however long it is before they have to call me in again. But Juror number 2 came out that same week. So when I went to go see it, I was like, let's just keep these judicial vibes going, my friend. Let's see what's going on over here. And when I tell you that actual jury duty was more entertaining than this movie, I'm not kidding. The cinematography and direction both felt really uninspired to me, and some of the dialogue was like a little too soap opera-y for my liking. I just thought it was kind of boring, to be honest with you. I thought the high-level idea, like if I just read you the log line, the pitch for this movie, while serving as a juror in a high-profile murder trial, family man Justin Kemp finds himself struggling with a serious moral dilemma, one he could use to sway the jury verdict and potentially convict or free the accused killer. Like, it sounds interesting. If you watch the trailer, you might be like, oh, fascinating. But I just really felt like in execution of those ideas, it wasn't all that entertaining. 83 is Night Bitch, and 82 is Blink Twice. Keeping with the 2.5 star ratings, we've got Immaculate in 81st and Strange Darling in 80th. Now, I've already expressed some of my disdain towards Strange Darling on my podcast. I know a lot of people that liked Strange Darling, which was kind of shocking to me when I saw it myself. The movie is split into like 6 sections, and it's scrambled up so it's non-linear in the way the information is presented to you. Premise is like a one night stand gets spun into like a murderous serial killer spree. But because of the way the movie is set up, you can't really tell who the serial killer is, whether it's the man or the woman. Which I just feel like some of the deeper themes and messages of this movie are a little anti-Me Too. And I think what really nailed this home for me, and this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to know about this, skip through. Also, trigger warning for sexual assault here, but obviously you figure out who the serial killer really is like halfway through the movie. It is the woman who is a serial killer. He had called the cops, because also he is a cop, worth noting. He had called his cop buddies to come help him as he was fighting off this woman serial killer. She ended up killing him before the cops were able to come. And what she decided to do before they arrived, because she was handcuffed to a freezer, she decided to pull her pants down halfway and try to fake it as if she had just been raped. Now, there's 2 cops that walk into the room and find her like this. One is a man and the other is a woman. And the woman cop goes up to the woman who is on the floor crying, who appears to have just been like viciously raped, and is being really empathetic towards her, trying to help her get all straightened up, unhandcuffed, whatever. And the man cop basically starts yelling at her and is like, you're being too emotional and empathetic. You don't know what just happened here, what she's like. She could be lying, like, slow your roll, don't help her up. And the woman cop is like, fuck you. Look at what this looks like. I need to help this woman. Oh my God, sweetie, are you okay? Don't worry, like, we've got you, thinking that she had just saved this woman from something really brutal. And she had killed him in self-defense. So anyways, fast forward a couple scenes, they've got her in the back of the cop car. Truth comes to light that actually she's a serial killer and she has a gun, and she tells the woman cop to basically get out of the car and run because she did her a solid, and then she shoots the male cop. The whole message there being women's empathy to want to believe other women kills men. And the whole jumbled up storyline is meant to make you go, oh, so you assumed it was the man that was the bad guy, huh? I didn't like this movie. And actually, the more I sit with it, the more I dislike it. And I kind of wonder if the reason why other people liked it is because they didn't read into any of the messaging. I don't know. I just feel like when I got to the end of that movie, I felt so icky. And I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I could really tell a man wrote that one. Yes, sir. Yes, I could. So the whole thing felt a little anti-Me Too. And just uncomfortable to me. Keeping with the 2.5 star ratings, we've got Sweethearts in 79th, Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul at 78, Beetlejuice at 77, and Joker Folie à Deux at 76. I would take a bullet for Miss Gaga, okay? And I love anything and everything that woman has ever touched or laid a finger on, and that's the truth. And also, this movie was not good. And that is not the fault of Lady Gaga. Two things can be true at once, people. Here's the thing. Sometimes you just gotta have fun. Sometimes you just gotta giggle a little bit. Sometimes you've just gotta go to the movies and say to yourself, I'm here to just hee and ha a little bit, and all the pretentious shit, we're just gonna leave it at the door. This movie was utterly ridiculous, okay? And if you went into it just looking to have a good time and bask in the beauty of Lady Gaga, I think you could still have a good time watching this movie while acknowledging that it absolutely is no higher than a 2.5. Did I have an awesome time at this movie? Yeah, I did. I was laughing the whole time, actually. Mr. Puddles! Joaquin Phoenix is very goofy in this role. And I was mad at their underutilization of Miss Lady Gaga, someone with the star power that she has, the vocal and musical ability that she has, the acting ability that she has. I just felt like her character was underwritten in a lot of ways, and they didn't really give her any meaningful contribution opportunities, which was stupid. You have Lady Gaga in the fucking cast, people. And for our last 2.5 star, we have Hitman in 75th place. Moving on to the 3 stars, we've got The Bike Riders in 74th, The Greatest Hits in 73rd, It Ends With Us in 72nd, Woman of the Hour in 71st, Our Little Secret in 70th, Fly Me to the Moon in 69th, and The Apprentice in 68th. The thing about The Apprentice is that it was a little boring and a little long. They definitely could have and probably should have trimmed the fat on that one. But I did really enjoy the performances of Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong here, which they did both end up getting Oscar nominations for. I really liked the evolution of Sebastian Stan's performance and how by the end he is like the caricature of Trump that we see now. But throughout the whole movie, that's not what you get, which I thought was a really strong choice on his part. So I felt pretty in the middle about this one. It was fine. There were definitely high points, most of those just being Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong. But for the most part, it was definitely one that I thought you could have skipped this year. In 67th, also a 3 star, we've got A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie starring Timothée Chalamet. I went into this not knowing a damn thing about Bob Dylan. And funny enough, I actually also left not knowing a damn thing about Bob Dylan. And because I had no background on Bob Dylan, I kind of had no way to assess whether or not Timothy's performance was accurate or not. I was a little bored, but I felt like the performances were mostly strong. But again, I felt like this suffered a similar fate that The Apprentice did inside my own mind, which was just like all right, cool. To be indifferent or not have much to say about something is probably worse than being a full-out hater. So I'm really sorry. And we're going to get you that Oscar someday, Timmy. I promise. Continuing with some 3 stars, we've got Drive Away Dolls in 66th, The Line in 65th, Speak No Evil in 64th. In 63rd, I have The Idea of You. In 62nd, I have The Wild Robot, both again sitting at 3 stars. 61st, we've got Baby Girl. You guys know how I feel about Baby Girl. We did a whole video kind of talking about my feelings about Baby Girl. Was it a fantastic movie? No. Was it sexy and fun and silly and kind of exactly what I needed in the moment that I saw it? Also, yes. I think that some things can just be silly and sexy and fun, and this movie absolutely was that. In 60th, we've got Mean Girls. Maybe that's a hot take to some people. Maybe I'm just so Renee Rapp coded. I gave Mean Girls a 3 stars. Here's what I'll say. The girl who plays Katie, I thought the performance was incredibly weak, both in acting and vocally, but it's hard when you're cast alongside people like Renee Rapp, who I thought just sort of blew everyone else out of the water. Now, am I a Renee Rapp stan? Absolutely, yes I am. I'm bisexual, so that's part of it. I don't know if you knew that. Or actually, I lied. I gave Mean Girls a 3.5. And I wouldn't even take it back, dude. Like, I had a good time. I giggled, I laughed. And also, this movie absolutely falls into the group of movies that, to me, are allowed to just be silly and fun and not anything more than that. I didn't walk into watching Mean Girls, the musical, the movie, thinking to myself I was watching the next Oscar-winning movie. You know, I went into it thinking I was going to watch a silly, campy, ridiculous movie musical. And that's what I got. And I think I liked it because that's what I ordered. You know, like sometimes you go get a fast food burger because you want a fast food burger. You are aware of the existence of better burgers, but sometimes you just want the fast food burger. You want the shittier thing. That's kind of what I felt here. Continuing on to the 3.5s, we've got Maria at 59, Inside Out 2 at 58, and The People's Joker at 57. The People's Joker is about an aspiring clown grappling with her gender identity while combating a fascist caped crusader. The People's Joker was a really fun release that I saw this year. It's super different, and I think you should watch the trailer before watching this movie just so that you have proper expectations set. But I loved the really unique visual approach that this movie takes, and I just think Vera Drew is so brilliant taking the Joker, a character that had been widely adopted by, you know, red pillars and super conservative people online, the incels, taking that character, using their likeness to tell a trans story is kind of fucking awesome. So I loved it. Next up, some more 3.5 stars. We've got Musica at 56, With Love and a Major Organ at 55, Janet Planet at 54, and Heretic at 53. In 52nd, we have Marmalade. I didn't hear a damn person talk about this movie, and low-key, it was kind of good. I am also a Joe Keery head, so that could be swaying my votes here. But I really feel like you should be able to trust my rankings if me, a Lady Gaga stan, a little monster, had it in my heart to give Joker a 2.5. I feel like you should trust me. This movie follows Baron, an imprisoned man who strikes up a friendship with cellmate Otis. As the pair hatch an escape plan together, Baron recalls the story of how he met Marmalade, the love of his life, and their Bonnie and Clyde scheme to rob a bank in order to care for his sick mother and give the couple the life they've always dreamed of. Joe Keery wears this fuck-ass bob-ass wig in this movie. It is so bad. They did my boy so dirty with this wig. But this movie was fun. It was a good, like, Sunday afternoon laying on my couch, eating some Sour Patch watermelons with a Diet Coke in hand kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Like, the vibes were good when I watched this movie. It was fun. It was silly. Give it a watch if you haven't. Continuing on with some more 3.5s, we've got The Seed of the Sacred Fig in 51st, Nosferatu in 50th, and Lisa Frankenstein in 49th. In 1989, a misunderstood teenager has a high school crush who just happens to be a very handsome corpse. After a set of playfully horrific circumstances bringing him back to life, the two embark on a murderous journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. You know, I really was so prepared to be a Lisa Frankenstein hater when I kept seeing the trailer. I couldn't avoid the trailer for Lisa Frankenstein. I felt like I saw it every goddamn day of my life. In very many ways, I prepared to really dislike Lisa Frankenstein. But to be honest with you, she was kind of cute. She was cute. She was funny. She was campy. I thought that it was a fun little silly horror movie. And Catherine Newton kind of knocked it out of the park. And because Cole Sprouse had no lines at all, he kind of worked for me too. My boy was just grunting the whole time. In very many ways, it became a Halloween smash hit to me. Don't run to watch it, but like during Halloween, if you're trying to do like a watch 30 new Halloween-esque movies that aren't scary movies, add this one to your list. In 48th, we've got Queer. In 47th, we've got In the Summers. I was so excited for this one. I only just got around to watching it. This movie follows a journey that spans the formative years of their lives. Two sisters navigate their loving but volatile father during their yearly summer visits to his home in New Mexico. This one initially came across my radar around the time of Tribeca Film Festival last year. Just reading through some of the movies that were premiering there, this was one that I saw that I was really fascinated by, and it is on Hulu now. So I gave it a watch the other day, and the performances here are really moving. They capture such complicated family dynamics so well, and it was really nice to see the relationships in a really like time spanning way, from the time they're really young to the time they're like in their 20s and growing up, and things are really different, and they're able to sort of perceive their parents through the adult lens versus, you know, perceiving their father the way they did when they were a child and they were maybe first coming to terms with the fact that he wasn't the hero they always hoped that he would be. In 46th, also with 3.5 stars, we have Cuckoo with Hunter Schafer. I kind of liked this one. Was it the best thing I've ever seen? No. Do I, however, love a story about sisterhood? Yes, I do. And maybe this movie on its surface doesn't seem like a movie about sisterhood, but watch it and come back to me, because it absolutely fucking is. After reluctantly moving to the German Alps with her father and his new family, Gretchen discovers that their new town hides sinister secrets as she's plagued by strange noises and frightening visions of a woman pursuing her. Hunter Schafer, I would follow you into any dark woods ever. I think you are fucking fantastic. I love to see Hunter Schafer in a leading role like this. It was fun, it was badass, and again, the emphasis on sisterhood, I really loved. Dude, I don't care if my sister's a parasite. That's my fucking sister, bro. In 45th place, also at 3.5 stars, we have I Like Movies. This really is a wonderful movie that captures the very essence of many of the users over on Letterboxd. Socially inept 17-year-old cinephile Lawrence Queller gets a job at a video store where he forms a complicated friendship with his older female manager. My written review for this movie was as follows: jerk off 87 times a day, watch Goodfellas, yell at mom, be condescending to women in film. Just an average day for some of you on this application, really. And I meant every goddamn word. In 44th, I have Flow. 43rd, I have Saturday Night, which, by the way, if you listen to the podcast, you already know this, but I have to tell you guys over here on the main channel as well. But basically, to make a long story fucking short, on the night of my 28th birthday, on March fucking 5th, I received an email titled Lady Gaga SNL. I was gooped, I was gagged, I was gobsmacked. Basically, there is a lover girl who works at SNL who was inviting me to come see Lady Gaga host double duty, musical guest as well, SNL, that same weekend. So I got to see Lady Gaga host SN fucking L, and it was so cool. That was my first time ever seeing Saturday Night Live, being in the studio, witnessing the whole operation. They run a tight ship over there, and I fucking love it. I thought it was so cool. It was so awesome to see behind the curtain, and no less to see it when it's fucking Lady Gaga doing double duty. To be among the first to have heard Abracadabra and Killa live, I cannot tell you how much that means to me. It's an honor I will take with me to my fucking dying breath. So I just had to update you guys on that. The movie is obviously about the first episode of Saturday Night Live, and I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. I love Gabriel LaBelle. I think he's fucking sick. He was in a different movie that came out this year that I liked better than this one, but we'll get to that. In 42nd, we've got Conclave. After the unexpected death of the Pope, Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with managing the covert and ancient ritual of electing a new one. Sequestered in the Vatican with the Catholic Church's most powerful leaders until the process is complete, Lawrence finds himself at the center of a conspiracy that could lead to its downfall. This movie was cunty. Stanley Tucci made me feel Catholic in that AMC, and I mean that with my whole heart. I went to the Conclave premiere, which was really cool because Ray Fiennes and Isabel Rossellini were there at the theater, and we were in the front row, which was like a terrible perspective to watch the movie at, but super cool because we were very close to, you know, the cast when they came up and did a little intro at the beginning of the movie. So that was really cool. And the whole time I was watching that movie, I was just like, the idea of a sequester. Sometimes I think we need to do it more. I wrote in my review that I thought that they should sequester Love Island voters during the summer because some of you are very dumb and need to be kept away from Twitter. And I do believe that. This movie was gorgeous. I loved the cinematography. I loved the score. Ultimately, it was just incredibly cunty. Last few 3.5 stars here, we've got My Old Ass in 41st and Twisters in 40th. Moving into the 4 stars, okay? Now we're moving into the group of movies that I firmly planted my 2 feet in, put the flag in the sand, and said, I like this fucking movie. It was good. I thought it was awesome. In 39th, we've got Housekeeping for Beginners. In 38th, we've got Kinds of Kindness. In 37th, we've got The Fall Guy. I thought The Fall Guy was kind of a beautiful little rom-com. I expected so much less of this movie, and it honestly blew my expectations out of the water. It gave me exactly what I wanted out of a rom-com. Fresh off an almost career-ending accident, stuntman Colt Seavers has to track down a missing movie star, solve a conspiracy, and try to win back the love of his life while still doing his day job. It was romantic and epic, and the stunts were really cool. So I thought this movie did exactly what it set out to do. And I had a damn good time watching it. In 36th, Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. In 35th, Sometimes I Think About Dying. And in 34th, Will and Harper. Will and Harper is a documentary following Will Ferrell and Harper Steele. After Harper comes out as a trans woman, they take a road trip to bond and reintroduce Harper to the country as her true self. You know what's funny is I got to see Will and Harper in the theaters. I know it was a Netflix release, but they did do a limited theatrical run that did come to New York City. And I saw it on the day it was premiering at Fantastic Fest, I believe, in Austin. And they did a Q&A with Will and Harper that was live streamed to a bunch of other participating theaters across the country. I was obviously in New York watching this movie. Went by myself, just bought a 1-seater ticket, had a good time, whatever, right? Except somehow my ticket was booked among a sea of crew members that worked on this movie. So the whole time I'm sitting there in my seat waiting for the movie to begin, I realized that like all the people around me know each other and are really like talking, like really amped up about this movie. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like they worked on it. Like, it sounds like this is the whole crew. And at one point, oh God, this, like, I think about this sometimes and I feel so humiliated by it, but there was a person in the row in front of me that was like, all right, everybody, say cheese. I'm going to send this to the director. And they take a selfie of all of us, me included. I didn't know what to do because I'm like in the middle of this fucking photo. There's people all around me that are smiling for it. And I was like, well, I don't want to fuck up their photo by like not smiling because I'm like, well, I'm not a part of the crew. So I don't want to like take credit and be a part of your group photo. But I had no other choice because it was my movie theater seat was just in the middle of this happening, right? So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to smile. In this photo that exists somewhere of the crew that worked on this fucking movie, there is me in the middle of it. And I hope that photo exists nowhere. And I hope that I never have to look at it because I know that I'm just sitting there like... But I really loved this movie. I thought it was incredibly moving. I think particularly looking at an actor like Will Ferrell, who is really loved by a lot of people, but especially by teenage boys. At least when I was growing up, I feel like Step Brothers and Semi-Pro were movies that were quoted nonstop in my household growing up, at school, everywhere. Really, these were movies that people obsessed over when I was in middle and high school. Listen, I love Step Brothers as much as the next person does, but I felt like when I was younger, the biggest fans of those movies were teenage boys. And so I think it is particularly impactful to see an actor like Will Ferrell being such a fantastic example of what it means to be a friend to trans people. To be that example for people, I think is really great. I wonder how many people watched this movie because they saw Will Ferrell was in it and maybe had their perspective shifted a little bit. It definitely felt like a movie that was going to be pretty accessible, and it felt like it delivered the messaging in a very easy to understand way. And as someone who has been very involved in discussing trans issues since I was, 15 years old, because my younger brother transitioned around the time when I was 15 or 16. I think that is really awesome that this movie gives people sort of an invitation in and allows them to be curious about it. All in all, I thought it was fantastic. Harper's great, Will's great. They're both so funny together. And it was really just a wonderfully charming capture of what it means to courageously pursue a deeper understanding and acceptance of yourself in figuring out if you fit in to the places that you used to, and also what it means to be an ally and a real friend, to use your privilege as a buffer for your trans friends, because it takes a goddamn village. Continuing on with more 4 stars, we've got Good One in 33rd, It's What's Inside in 32nd, The Outrun in 31st, Black Box Diaries in 30th, and Bird in 29th. All right, we're starting to creep up here. My awards are about to start being handed out, people, okay? In 28th, we've got Better Man. This was a last minute watch for me before the Oscars, trying to cram in as many movies as I could possibly watch. And I know this is shocking to many non-Americans, but I had no idea who Robbie Williams was before this movie. And leaving this movie, I was so fascinated with him. I spent a whole weekend listening to his music and catching myself up with some of the lore. I thought it was so fascinating and so entertaining, and did what A Complete Unknown didn't do when it came to really immersing me and leaving me with more information than I came with. I said that when I watched A Complete Unknown, I went into it knowing nothing about Bob Dylan, and I left also knowing nothing about Bob Dylan. The same was not true for Better Man. I came in knowing nothing, and I left feeling like I knew quite a bit. And let's be honest, the monkey was kind of sexy. Okay, let's be honest, you guys. That monkey was kind of sexy. In 27th, we've got Dune Part 2. I put off watching the Dune movies for so long because, to be honest, sci-fi is usually not my favorite genre. I can appreciate sci-fi movies for their greatness and also be like, it's not really for me, but I get it for other people. And that is still kind of how I feel about Dune. However, I was really impressed with how much I did like both of the Dune movies. I totally get why people love them. I see all the fantastic parts about them. I love Timothée Chalamet, I love Zendaya, and I love that freaking worm, dude. What the heck? In 26th, we have Thelma. When 93-year-old Thelma Post gets duped by a phone scammer pretending to be her grandson, she sets out on a treacherous quest across the city to reclaim what was taken from her. June Squibb, I would die for you. June Squibb, I would take a bullet for you, and I would not think twice about it. I love June Squibb. I watched Thelma in theaters, and I also went home and made my whole family watch Thelma with me because I thought it was just a freaking hoot. I love June Squibb. I love her performance. I think that she is so cute and so darling, so lovely. I just thought that she was the real charmer in this movie, and it was really fucking funny. It had me laughing out loud at multiple points. Really just a damn good time. An easy 4-star. In 25th, we have Monkey Man. Kid is an anonymous young man who ekes a meager living in an underground fight club where night after night, wearing a gorilla mask, he is beaten bloody by more popular fighters for cash. After years of suppressed rage, Kid discovers a way to infiltrate the enclave of the city's sinister elite As his childhood trauma boils over, his mysteriously scarred hands unleash an explosive campaign of retribution to settle the score with the men who took everything from him. Monkey Man is a story about revenge and rage, taking back your power and defending the people that you love. Dev Patel was fantastic. This was an incredible directorial debut from him. The gore in this movie is unbelievable. I'm a big horror thriller fan, but a big reason why I am a horror thriller fan is because I am fascinated by special effects makeup and just like the inclusion of gore in these movies. I think it's just cool what they're able to do. I think that's also why a lot of these bloodier movies don't freak me out, and it's because I'm just like fascinated with how they're able to make it look like that. But I thought this movie was particularly bloody, particularly gory, and particularly impressive in the kinds of gore and the way they showcased it. I thought it was really sick and pretty fucking impressive, to be honest. In 24th, we have His Three Daughters, and in 23rd, we have Love Lies Bleeding. Gay movie with Kristen Stewart. Yeah, I'm in. Gay movie with Kristen Stewart, and also Dave Franco gets it handed to him. What could be better, girls? Love Lies Bleeding is a story of a reclusive gym manager, Lou, falling hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder headed through town to Las Vegas in pursuit of her dream. But their love ignites violence, pulling them deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. High stakes, dramatic, had me on the edge of my seat the whole goddamn time, and it gives me the ending that I always longed for and hoped for. This movie is fucking weird, it's intense, and it is gay. What more could you want, America? Rattling off some more 4 stars, we've got I Saw the TV Glow in 22nd, The Brutalist in 21st, How to Have Sex in 20th, and Memoir of a Snail at 19th. Forcibly separated from her twin brother when they are orphaned, a melancholic misfit learns how to find confidence within herself amid the clutter of misfortunes in everyday life. This was my best animated feature of the year. I thought Memoir of a Snail was so goddamn cute. I cried way more than I thought that I would and just found myself so enraptured with the story of this goddamn snail loving little claymation girl. Okay, I loved her, but to me it really was no contest. This was the best animated feature by a mile. The emotions here were just so fucking potent, and the animation was so goddamn cute. I loved it. Next up in 18th place, we have Snack Shack, which was the movie that I mentioned earlier that Gabriel LaBelle is in that I loved so much more. Inseparable best friends AJ and Moose decide to run the local pool's Snack Shack after their plan to sell homebrewed beer goes down the drain. Things take a turn when they meet Brooke, an effortlessly cool lifeguard who puts their big plans and friendship all at risk. It is such a fun, nostalgic feeling summer movie. My two bestie boys, AJ and Moose, played by Connor Sherry and Gabriel LaBelle, are so good together. I have a feeling many of you probably didn't get a chance to watch this, and I'm gonna really encourage you to check it out. Also, I ended up watching another movie by this director, which maybe you've seen because it did kind of blow up on TikTok earlier this year, but Dinner in America. And I do think in many ways they have the same kind of imperfect, nostalgic coming of age vibe. So if you liked Dinner in America, I would definitely recommend checking out Snack Shack. Now we're moving into the 4.5 star range. These are the best of the bests to me. Okay. In 17th, we have Girl with the Needle. In 16th, we have Problemista. And in 15th, we have Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys chronicles the powerful friendship between two young black teenagers navigating the harrowing trials of reform school together in Florida. Nickel Boys is who I would have awarded Best Editing with. I was in a trance at how this movie was shot and edited. I thought it was so unique. I loved how the perspective shifting back and forth really allowed the audience to step into the movie ourselves and sort of engage with the scene in a more direct way. I thought the way it was shot was incredibly emotionally compelling, but the editing more than anything just had my jaw on the floor. It was phenomenal. I think the editors of this movie deserve a goddamn raise. How the fuck it wasn't nominated for cinematography and editing, but Emilia Perez was, I will never know. I will never know, and I don't want to know, so don't fucking tell me, okay? All right, we are fighting daylight here, so let's get a move on these last couple movies. In 14th place, we've got Riddle of Fire. Riddle of Fire is the story of 3 mischievous children embarking on a woodland odyssey when their mother sends them on an errand. This was another smaller release that I had so much fun with. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Really some of the most fun I've had while watching a movie in so long. It's so imaginative and silly and really captures the essence of like childlike wonder and play better than I've ever seen captured before. I'm a sucker for any movie that puts mischievous children at the center, and this one, dare I say, quickly became one of my favorites. I think particularly the way they do child speak felt so real to me, like the way the children speak to each other when they're playing pretend. This movie nails that, and it was so fun to watch. The cinematography is gorgeous, the score is incredibly dreamy, just like an absolutely ridiculous debut from this director. I loved it, okay? Easy 4.5 for Riddle of Fire. In 13th place, we have We Live in Time. An up-and-coming chef and a recent divorcee find their lives forever changed when a chance encounter brings them together in a decade-spanning, deeply moving romance. I got to see this one followed by a Q&A with Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield, which was so cool and very sexy. They both have incredible chemistry and did wonderfully in both of their roles, but I was particularly moved by Andrew's performance here. To me, he really just nailed the like real balance it takes being a good partner to someone carrying a heavy load, knowing that your own wants and needs don't disappear in light of your partner needing to be the priority at that given time, holding space for that truth while still holding enough space to know when it's just not about you. The non-linear structure really adds a lot of depth and allows you to ride the waves of their relationship with them, making the movie feel longer in some ways, in a good way, in a way that adds to like your knowing of their relationship in a way that feels deep and time spanning, and just like really incredibly captured the sentiment of choosing to love while knowing that you will lose and how truly important that is. It was romantic, it was smart, it was heartbreaking, it was everything. I really, really loved this one and how truly complicated it was. In 12th, we've got A Different Man. Aspiring actor Edward undergoes a radical medical procedure to drastically transform his appearance, but his new dream face quickly turns into a nightmare as he loses out on the role he was born to play and becomes obsessed with reclaiming what was lost. Another Sebastian Stan smash hit. The fact that this movie and The Substance came out so close in time to each other, I was like, this would be a great double feature. If you've still never seen The Substance and A Different Man, watch them as a double feature. I think they'd go really well together. Very different stories, but similar themes between the two of them. I loved it. I thought Sebastian Stan was great in this. Obviously, between the two, I do prefer The Substance, but I thought this movie absolutely knocked it out of the park. In 11th, we have Wicked. When ostracized and misunderstood, green-skinned Elphaba is forced to share a room with the popular aristocrat Glinda. The two's unlikely friendship is tested as they begin to fulfill their respective destinies as Glinda the Good and the Wicked Witch of the West. Once a theater kid, always a theater kid, babe. Okay, I anticipated I was gonna love this, but I didn't realize just how much I was gonna love this. When Wicked ended, when we reached the end of Defying Gravity, do you understand the kind of hyperventilation that was occurring in my row at the movie theater? I was inconsolable. Okay, I was just sobbing. I thought Cynthia Erivo was breathtaking. Ariana Grande was also fantastic. I also feel a particular emotional attachment to Wicked because my sister and I sang Wicked songs together at theater camp when we were kids. We did one short day together. I was Elphaba and she was Glinda. And when they got to that part of the movie where they're like, we're just two friends, two good friends, two best best friends, do sharing one wonderful one. I was fucking crying, bro. One Short Day is not even an emotional song, but to me, it very much was. It is so fun to see two people who love the story of Wicked this much get to play these characters. I think it's just a fun time for everyone, for them and for the audience. All right, we've made it to the top 10. This is getting crazy. 10th place, we've got A Real Pain. This is exactly who I wanted to get Best Supporting Actor, Kieran Culkin. Obviously, that is who ended up taking home Best Supporting Actor, but literally from the moment I walked out of that theater after watching A Real Pain, I was like, that man is gonna get nominated, and I hope with both my fucking fingers and toes crossed that that man gets it. Mismatched cousins David and Benji reunite for a tour through Poland to honor their beloved grandmother. The adventure takes a turn when the pair's old tensions resurface against the backdrop of their family history. It was emotional, it was hilarious, it was complicated in literally all of the best ways. I went from belly laughing to tearing up in a span of minutes while watching this movie. It's like a 90-minute movie, it's not even that long. The range of emotions that I experienced while watching this one previously, unknown to man. I swear to fucking God. Jesse Eisenberg really redeemed himself for me. I really was not a huge fan of his first direction with When You Finish Saving the World, but this film flourishes in all the ways that that one floundered. I feel like I spent the first half of this movie just like totally enamored with how painfully authentic Kieran Culkin's character is. Even in small moments, how like truly endearing and precious his heart felt. It was like all-encompassing to me. Like watching and rewinding a video of his cousin's child recounting how many floors the Empire State Building has and giving it an honest chuckle multiple times over. And despite that, I also spent the second half of the movie enamored with how honest Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of his character was. He's in awe of his cousin's charm and his ability to turn it all on, but at the same time, he feels distrusting of it because he has additional context that makes it all feel a little bit more suspicious and dishonest. Overly cautious and highly intuitive, in many ways the like complete polar opposite of Kieran's character. I felt like you could see how grief had changed both of these characters in really different ways. Do we cling to our accomplishments and cling to control as a way to manicure external perception? Or do we perform for others in ways that we can't perform for ourselves to control it instead? I don't know. Grief makes people do strange things, and we all cope in different ways, and I just thought that this movie captured how truly nuanced and complicated that is in such a wonderful way. In 9th place, we have Sing Sing. Divine G, imprisoned at Sing Sing for a crime he didn't commit, finds purpose by acting in a theater group alongside other incarcerated men in this story of resilience, humanity, and the transformative power of art. I love this movie. It is such a shame that this movie wasn't as big as it should have been this year. This movie absolutely would have taken home Best Actor. To me, Coleman Domingo swept this no contest, and it also would have won Best Adapted Screenplay. The cinematography on this one is out of this world. It is just a gorgeous film to take in, and the fact that the cast is made up of so many formerly incarcerated men from Sing Sing who are a part of the very program that's being talked about in this movie, I just thought was such a powerful cinematic choice, and also like truly hats off to the cast. I thought as an ensemble they were fantastic. I loved seeing several movies this year talk about theater as a method towards finding community and healing, because that is something that has rang true in my own life. So it was kind of awesome to see multiple movies this year having that as a through line. In 8th place, we have La Chimera. Just out of jail, rumpled English archaeologist Arthur reconnects with his wayward crew of Tombaroli accomplices, a happy-go-lucky collective of grave robbers who survive by looting tombs and fencing the ancient treasures they dig up. This would be my pick for Best International Feature. Josh O'Connor, king of my year, probably. A real fucking win for the romantics of the world. God, Thank God the romantics and lovers win a fucking again. You take a man with a gift for finding what is lost in a perpetual search of how to build a new life, sans the person who really made him feel found. I left this movie with just a feeling of wholeness in my chest. Like this movie was just a several hour long reminder of how truly abundant love is. And even when you feel like you are being buried by life and there's no possible way that anything could get better, love always finds a way in. In 7th place, we have Long Legs. Perhaps a hot take. I know some people did not like Long Legs. I loved it though. FBI agent Lee Harker is a gifted new recruit assigned to the unsolved case of an elusive serial killer. As the case takes complex turns, unearthing evidence of the occult, Harker discovers a personal connection to the merciless killer and must race against time to stop him before he claims the lives of another innocent family. I love horror, and Long Legs was a perfect horror film to me. We're well into the 5 stars now, by the way. Sing Sing was a 5-star, La Chimera was a 5-star. Long Legs is 5-star. We're 5 stars from here on out, people. Long Legs was full of this slowly festering unease that just crept up on you the whole entire movie. The sound design went crazy. The editing was insane. It really felt like this was a movie that had learned and taken notes from the horror greats that came before it, which I loved. In 6th, we have Ghostlight, which is my winner for best cinematography. If you have not seen Ghostlight, you absolutely fucking must. Ghostlight is about a construction worker and father who unexpectedly joins a local theater's production of Romeo and Juliet alongside his estranged teenage daughter. The drama on stage starts to mirror his own life. Grief as theater and theater as the door to healing. Boy! I'm always gonna love it. I really do believe that most people would benefit from doing an acting game or two to get their emotions moving around and out of their body. I actually feel like there is so much therapeutic value in theater and even just doing little theater games, and this movie seems to also believe that. Being able to create spaces where being emotionally vulnerable with each other is not only encouraged but nourished is really one of the most important things in the world. It's something that rang true in my childhood, something that continues to ring true for me now as an adult. It really is something that motivates me so much in everything that I do. It's on Hulu now, so you literally don't have an excuse. In 5th place, we have I'm Still Here. In the early 1970s, the military dictatorship in Brazil reaches its height. The Paiva family, Rubens, Eunice, and their 5 children, live in a beachside house in Rio open to all of their friends. One day, Rubens is taken for questioning and does not return. Which obviously, this is where my award for Best Actress goes. Fernanda Torres, the woman that you fucking are. I was so moved by her performance here. It was just earth-shattering. It was really unlike anything I've seen before. Fernanda Torres is a fucking vision in this movie, and upon seeing it, she just takes the cake. Best Actress, Fernanda Torres, 100%, no goddamn contest, and it really wasn't close. Now, obviously, I haven't even talked about Anora and The Substance yet, so clearly I also loved those movies and their performances there as well, and I talked a little bit about the discourse about the Oscar Best Actress category on the podcast a week or two ago, so feel free to go check that out if you want to hear more about my opinions there. But really, I would have been happy if any one of these women won. But in my heart of hearts, it was and always has been Fernanda Torres as Best Actress. In 4th place, all right, we're here, top 4, we've got Anora. Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and impulsively marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. And this would have been my pick for Best Director, so thank God that's actually how it went. Sean Baker won Best Director for Anora. I love this movie. This movie is unbelievable and so much fun. Mikey Madison is fucking electric. I have talked so much about Anora and Sean Baker on the podcast, so if you're interested in hearing all of my unfiltered thoughts about Anora and Sean Baker as a director and why I find him so inspiring, definitely go check out the pod, okay? We got to push people over there somehow. Third place, we've got Dee Dee. In 2008, during the last month of summer before high school begins, an impressionable 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy learns what his family can't teach him: how to skate, how to flirt, and how to love your mom. Which this is where my winner of Best Supporting Actress comes in, which goes really without contest to Joan Chen. She is fucking phenomenal in this movie. I was seeing the trailers for this movie for months before it came out, and every single time I watched the trailer, I teared up at this one part in the movie where Chris, the lead character, and his mom are sitting at a restaurant across from some other kid in his class, and his mom, they're talking about how the other kid has like a 4.0 GPA, he's doing so good, he has all of these accolades and accomplishments, and then they're like, and Chris makes videos? And the whole thing is surrounded upon this 13-year-old boy who is making YouTube videos about skateboarding and trying to find himself and find his friends and figure out where he fits in. And it's told through the lens of like a teenage YouTuber in the year 2008. Is it making sense why this movie felt so important to me? It just really hit close to home. There were so many aspects of this movie that I was like, oh my God. Like, even just getting to watch the film and feel nostalgia for like the way the YouTube website used to look back then, it's crazy. As someone who made their YouTube channel when they were 13 years old around the same time, like, this movie was just always gonna hit for me. It got so much so right, and I will just always have a part of my heart dedicated specifically to weird kids who are trying to find their place and go to the internet to try to find that place, that use creating YouTube videos as like a way to find community and find acceptance. I have a soft spot in my heart for all those kids, past and present, because I'm one of them. Number 2, my second favorite movie of the year is The Substance, which is my winner of Best Original Screenplay and also, obviously, makeup and hairstyling. A fading celebrity decides to use a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. Making a body horror about the discussion of body image and women's beauty standards and like the dissection of women's bodies and their value as we age, and just like the pursuit towards perfection at any cost, even when you are patient number 2, babe, and you really have no idea what the fuck you're putting in your body. This like desperation for beauty, this fight to be perceived as valuable, knowing you have so much to bring to the table, but also knowing you won't even be given a chance to prove that unless you present a certain way. The whole thing was just phenomenal. The review I wrote for it at the time says, "This is what y'all look like when you accept an Ozempic equivalent sponsorship for your podcast with an audience comprised of mostly 18 to 34-year-old women." Fuck. Yeah, she ate down with that one. Disgusting, brilliant, and utterly nauseating. Objectively, not for a lot of people, but it was so for me, baby. Which brings us to, I'm sure you know it, my favorite, the best movie of the goddamn year. The winner of Best Picture, Best Original Score, and Best Original Song. Baby, you got Challengers. Luca Guadagnino, I am praying to your altar right now. Challengers is a perfect movie. Yeah. Tennis player turned coach Tashi has taken her husband Art and transformed him into a world-famous major champion. To jolt him out of his recent losing streak, she signs him up for a challenger event close to the lowest level of pro tournament, where he finds himself standing across the net from his former best friend and Tashi's former boyfriend. I feel like I have talked everyone's goddamn ear off about Challengers, but it is the bisexual picture that we all fucking deserved this year. I feel like I've really said all that I can say about my love for this movie, so let me leave you with this. The character studies that are done in this movie are some of the best I have seen in my life. The way power, lust, pride, manipulation, seduction are slammed back and forth throughout this movie is fucking intoxicating. There are so many metaphors at play here, so many ties between tennis and sex, and it is fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. Tennis is a relationship, and fortunately for me, it happens to be a bisexual love triangle featuring Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Feist. All three of them fucking smash it out of the park, and it is electric to watch. It is fucking electric to see three people that committed to their characters' backstory and lore and the emotions and how truly complicated they are. I love it. Their portrayals were iconic to me. I will never get over how much I love this movie. I know I've talked for so long. This video honestly is probably a lot longer than I was initially intending for it to be, but the truth is that I'm just quite passionate about movies, and I had a lot of things to say about the highs and lows of this year. So if you agree with me, you are so right, and if you disagree with me, taste is genetic, and I said what I said earlier. Be sure to go check out my podcast, Emotionally Online, for more of me. Follow me over on Instagram at Maddie, and I will see you guys in my next YouTube video. Goodbye!